So we're gonna take this in stride. We're not gonna try to overwhelm ourselves by just trying to learn everything, okay? And once we figure this out, I promise you guys, you're gonna use this in your listing presentations, and you're gonna be very, very, very surprised to see how valuable this is gonna be. So with that being said, everybody's gonna need to log into their Max Center, okay? And that is remax.net. If you don't know your username and password, get with one, either Emily or Lindsay, they'll get you that information. With that being said, this is when you're going to get to all your tiles, right? So if you hit your apps to here, all your apps are there. Now, one of the shortcuts is your kvCORE app, right? Because that's been the topic for the last month, 2 months, whatever the case may be. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to go ahead and open that up. You're going to click on that. And then automatically what's going to take place is going to take you to your Max Tech powered by kvCORE. Let me just shut some of these things up if you don't mind. Okay. So with that being said, you're going to go to see where it says dashboard, playbooks, all that kind of different things. You're going to go to marketing. Your marketing tab is going to be over there on the left, and you're going to drop down to Core Present. Okay. Your Core Present window will open at this point, and it'll say, get ready to win. There's several presentations that you can do. Now, win the listing, win the offer, present the info, and buyer tour. Today we'll concentrate on creating for the seller. Okay, so just if you're at a listing appointment, what should I bring? I don't know what to say. Do I just use Cloud CMA? What to do? This is your all-in-one. You don't need to go anywhere else. You just automatically hit win the listing. When you click on that, you put in the property. So I'm going to go ahead and use Lynn Bayless's listing, 2719 Spokane. And that is in Carlsbad. And then you put California. And then now all you do is hit next. All the information, if you can see, pulls up from the data. Now you got a single family home, 4-bedroom, 2263 square feet. And at this point, if you confirm it, right? So is it the right information? You may not, or whatever. You can go up and down. You can move it up or down. You can change this information right there. So now you got the subject property. So what you want to do is you wanted to build the comparable, right? So now, if you look at this little map here, if you look up at the top, it says it's automatically going to default to 1 mile, right? So it's going to look at the subject property and it's going to take the mile radius. If you want to take that in a little bit, we took it down to a 1/4 mile, no problem. 1/2 mile, same thing. If you want to draw it out, right, you can draw this map out and then figure that part out from there. You can do all kinds of stuff with this thing. So, I mean, I don't want to bore you with how to use this, but you can use it any which way you want. If you want to go outside,
Hey, Mike.
2 miles, go for it.
Question.
Sure.
So have we all been invited? Because I'm not getting clicked in.
To the Core Present?
Mhm.
Okay, you know what, Measured, are you still on this call?
Yes, I am.
All right, so did you go ahead and invite Libby, if you don't mind? And we'll take care of that for you, Libby. Anybody
Okay,
have
thanks.
any kind of issues, they're not on or whatever the case may be, Measured can help you out with that. So,
Okay.
all right, cool. So now after we kind of do the mapping, so if we want to take it down to 1 mile, all right, you can also look to the left here. You could do property type, year built, right? All this information. You can even do square footage. Now, when you look at the square footage, you can adjust the square footage for your comps. For an example, it's automatically going to default 20%, but let's just say there's a lot of comps there. You don't want to do 20%. You want to do 15%. All right. So now it's going to take the 1900 square feet to 2500 square feet. Again, you can bring it in closer if you would like. Depends on how many comps are there and available. It seems like there's a bunch of comps in this area. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 15%. Again, if I want to drop it down to 10% and get it closer to the subject, no problem. You can adjust that from there. Now, it shows here on the bottom, 6 matches. You got 2 actives, 2 pendings, 2 sold. That's good. For me, I like to see 3 of each, but I mean, if you can get 2, 3 of the model, you know, something close to the model to some degree, even if you get a model match, excellent. But now you can also do close date, because a lot of people say, you know what, those comps 6 months out, that's not good. You got to go 3 months or 4 months or whatever the case may be. You can go ahead and do that by close date. So you can see all these adjustments that you can make to the left, even bedroom count. It's at 4, but let's just say you want to increase it, decrease it. Same thing. All right. You can even add, because this was a great question, you can even add the comps to this. For whatever reason, let's just say it didn't pull up. You can enter in the MLS ID and you can pull it into the comparables. All right. I'm going to move on unless you guys slow me down. All right. So at this point, it's going to pull the information here. Now, this is a cool little thing that you can play with. If you want total square footage, for an example, if you want to break it down by square feet, you can press this button, all right, to the left here. If I want to add in my own value, because I know like agents like to do that, right? We want to tell them what we think it's worth, right? So we can do a range. We can do it our own price, which is, let's just say we think it's worth 2 million. I added it. Now look, it's going to show Mike at 2 million. Now I know that's probably not going to be 2 million because at this point, look at this. I'm way off here on the chart. I'm going to look like a fool doing all these comparisons. If everything's showing 1, 2, 1, 4, 1, 6, I'm at 2 million. No good, no bueno. So let's remove that. Let's go 1.6. Add it. Now I'm in line. So I'm having this presentation with my clients. I want to put that in the back of their mind that I think their property is worth 1.6, but we're not going to talk about price. Just like Jordan Cohen said, we're going to talk about the presentation first. All right. So now I can add price square footage, no problem. Features. There's so many things I don't want to dive into. I'm going to make it very basic today, and we'll do a part 2 to this because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions after you kind of play with it yourself. All right, let me see if there's any. All right, Magic, go ahead and he put his little Calendly to get together with him. And then Jim Supples as a favorite. You don't need to log into remax.net. Okay, so you can get the kvCORE dashboard. Great job. You can add it as a favorite. Thank you, Jim. Okay, so now that we have this, our comps here, you want to scroll down to the bottom part because this is what it's going to show. It's going to show average monthly list price or sale, compare your sale price. Again, these are all interactive. So if you want to use these as talking points, that is where you're going to get that information. So we're preparing it at this point. It shows me the average price per square footage is 628, price rate change 2%, all these different tiles here. They're going to come in handy after, but I just want to continue with my my presentation first. So we're building this so that when we present this with our clients, we have all this information. So right now, it's automatically building these things. Now look over to the left. It's going to show me these different modules. And now if I look over here and I say theme, do I want traditional, modern, or luxury? Right? Do I want traditional, modern, or luxury? This is a big deal. And I'm going to show you why you want to use whatever's appropriate to the listing. You don't want to be using luxury when you're talking about a $500,000-$600,000 property. I don't think that's proper in my opinion, because it doesn't really apply to that particular home or that neighborhood. And then you're going to feel out of place, but you definitely want to use the luxury platform on a property. I believe that's $1.5 million, $2 million, or whatever the case may be, or more, because that's what they're going to want to see. So let's just use an example. This is a luxury property. So we're going to go to a luxury platform here. All right. It's going to ask you, how do you want to present? Are we going to do it CMA style or just presentation style? I like the presentations style because then I can go over it with the client at that point. And then here are the tiles. Introduction. Why am I the right fit? And then we can add a slide. For an example, if we want to add a slide because of the fact that we feel like, for example, the home selling process, maybe one want to talk about. All of these have already been defaulted in to your platform. So all you have to do is just click on it. So iBuyer is one of them. If that's a big deal to you, if you want to use the one sheeter, all these different things, a custom slide that I made, which I'll explain to you how to do it. All these different slides are here for you to choose. So that's why if it's got to be unique to you, like if you don't use this as part of your marketing, don't include it. Digital marketing is not a big deal and you don't care about it, you're not going to do it, don't include it, because then you're doing like a little bit of a false advertisement. For me, global presence is a big deal. I want to add that in my slide. So I'm adding slides by just touching them. If I want to talk about real, Remax, if I want to talk about all these different numbers and productivity and, Remax.com, I just click on this slide. Do we have any questions thus far? Because I know I'm going over a lot of things with you guys and I don't want you guys to be confused or overwhelmed. But I guarantee once you start playing with the system for one or two times, you'll get the hang of it. So with that being said, after I just pick my slides, right, I can go to what's my home worth. There's slides there that you can choose. Market analysis. I'm already using this slide. If I want to add that, no problem. All I have to do is click on it. And if I don't want it, you click off of it. So if it's highlighted here, you're using it. If it's still there, you're not using it. So remember, you click on and off for there. And then over here in this category, marketing and buying activity. I love this slide and I'll show it to you guys. I kind of gave you a sneak peek during the meeting, but you'll see what that's all about. So if I want to do property boost, for an example, any of you on the call are using property boost when you have a listing, include that in your talking point. You got to find this. This is going to be unique to you because not everybody likes every one of these slides. And this is the best part about it. Fine. It keeps you unique to everybody else in this company. But in the same sense, a lot of these, in my opinion, are very, very valuable to the client. So again, if staging is important to you and that maybe this property needs to be staged, you click that button. All right. So all of these different things are on here. So when I'm done with that, all right, if I'm done with that, all I have to do is present and share. When I hit that, it's automatically building that for me. And again, I can upload a picture for this property, and I can even add in a listing agreement. For an example, let's just say you have this all dialed in and you're presenting in person. Well, you want to put a listing agreement in there because that's going to be your next talking point, right? Are you ready to get started? Yes, I am. Well, here's the listing agreement. Let's go over it together. Or if you want to set it ahead of time, I always think it's a good idea to upload the listing agreement inside there. The net sheet, right? Because a lot of you use net sheets when you're talking to your clients. You can have one preloaded for you where, escrow would do one for you. And obviously you just have to upload that slide, or you can just get the information and put it here, by using the right stuff there. Let's just say they owe 800. And then you can put in the commission and you guys get it from this point on. So let's just say 40,000. All right. And then escrow fees, and you get that part from there. So now that I created that, I can also add a video link. What's the video link along? Okay, well, let's just say you have a YouTube video or you're talking about the market update. You can include that YouTube video into this presentation. And then, of course, you can upload any type of other videos that you may think are relevant to your presentation. After we're done with that, it's that simple. It just opened up and now we're in the presentation mode. So before we kind of go through the slides here, is there any questions, concerns, comments? What are the default slides? Sharon, we went to that. I hope I answered that when I went through the slide to show you some of those slides. Now you can go through them individually to see each one and what they are, but I was just kind of showing you an overview of what some of those default slides are looking like.
So my question.
Yeah.
So why do you prefer the presentation other than the other platforms?
Well, for me, if I'm presenting in front of the client, like I want to go over slide by slide, like see how, if I have to just press this arrow here, it's going to go over each slide, like in a presentation mode. If I wanted to make it a PDF and I wanted to send it, there may not be a presentation because then I want to be able to kind of print it or send it by email, right? So each thing. It depends on the situation. Good question though, Libby. Anybody have any other questions?
I have a question, Mike.
Yes, go for it.
Is it depending upon like the age group of your seller versus I've always used the Paragon like CMAs,
Yep.
like printing it out, or do you usually bring your computer and go through slides on your computer or iPad?
That's a great question. And I think it's unique to the client. So you can do both with this. So you can have this all printed out and you can just hand deliver it to them, or you can go over it, page by page, and you can leave it for them when you leave. It really depends on what you're looking for. I'm always trying to present in front of the clients because see, for me, I want to be able to have some talking points. That's all I care for. Like, I'm not going to go line by line. Oh, buying a home that's just boring. Nobody wants to hear it. But I just want to be able to have the talking points so I can click on these and go over my CMA with them, because that's what we're doing, right? We're selling ourselves, and then we're talking about what we feel like what the property is worth. So for me, it's presentation. Again, everybody else is a little bit different. And I agree with you. The age demographic could be a difference because, maybe for them, they want to be able to go through it after, which is fine. And you can have this printed out and maybe do both. But good question.
Can you just email them to them after
You absolutely can. So I'm going to go over this, and then I'm going to show you what ways you can do to actually how you're going to send it to your client, because you can
Not
email
to
it to
interrupt
them.
you, but just having the tool.
Sorry.
Sorry, just to show you, just showing them that you have this extra tool and you know how to navigate through it a little bit, I think is in itself very impressive as a marketing tool.
Absolutely. No, Sarah, so you bring up a good point. So for me, it's impressing the clients, giving them value while I'm there, and letting them know that, look, you could have picked any agent, from Adam or Eve, but now you're using RE/MAX and you're using a person that actually knows what they're talking about. I'm showing you how I'm going to get your home sold. That's going to separate you from everybody else. So yeah, definitely. So now, again, we'll ask questions because, I know there's going to be a lot. I just want to continue with this, and then we can ask them later if that's okay with you. So after I built this up, it's going to show here living square footage. Is going to show the criteria of what I've used. So that's going to be a talking point to them. Say, look, I didn't use anybody outside this. So if 123 Anytime Street is outside our scope, this is the reason why, because it was at 2,700 square feet, and I only used 2,000 to 2,400 square feet. Bedroom count, distance from subject, and also closed sales. So this is your criteria of what you pulled. All right, if I want to continue, this little timeline is going to show up. Now, all of these properties, I could just click on here, and then all that information gets pulled, right? Also, if I want to do big picture, I just click on this big picture, and then I can have my talking points. So I see there's only one here that's actually closed that is going to be in that range between $519. There's only one. But there's another one. The majority of them are within this 526 to 790 per price per square footage. So I'm going to pull that up for an example. Now I can go through each one of these kind of homes. That's pretty boring, but I want to give you information. All the ones in green are going to be active. Pendings are in the yellow, and closed sales are in red. Coming soons, I believe, are in orange. So it will pull coming soons if that's going to be one of your questions. It also gives you the comparable to these things. So it also tells you right here, 156 square feet larger. So if we're comparing this property to our subject property, we don't have to do the math. The math is being done for us. It also shows what the list price is. And now if you look at the closed, it will show you what it listed for and what it sold for. So if you're having these conversations with your seller, like, hey, by the way, it looks like this property was listed for 135, it sold for 1,395, over asking. So if we price it right, the likelihood of us getting over asking is pretty good, depending on the condition. So if I wanted to compare this property with the subject property, I can hit that screen, and now all of a sudden it's pulled, and these pictures are larger. So now I can look through the property with the client. What do you think of this property? Well, it's got nice floors, it's comparable to ours, looks like it was nicely painted. Kitchen's probably dated or original. We can talk all about these different things while we're with our client, right? So all you have to do is hit the escape button, and then you're back to the original screen. All right. See if there's any questions. Love that you can share the pics of other properties. Excellent. Sharon asked, does this pull from San Diego MLS and CRMLS? Yes, it does. It pulls from both because we are actually, our IDX stream is through CRMLS, and we are part of SDMLS. So good question, Sharon. So after we're done with this screen and we have our talking points and we're done, we move on. Now, this kind of gives it a market assessment. You don't need to have this screen if this is not what you like. This doesn't need to be in there. Again, you could take it off from the slides that we can choose from. But I like this because if I'm dealing with a person that has more of an analytical, more engineer type brain, they want to be able to be shown the things that I'm going to say instead of being told. They want to be shown. So now I want to talk about what prices the home's listed for and what it actually sold for, right? So if I look here, it went for over asking, right? Where is it? Yeah, over asking. Look at this. It sold for 1,322. That was the list price, and it sold for 1,395. So again, I could talk about that, and if you could tell, it can move with the screen. So now selling pace. Again, chart, you can use whatever chart as your talking point. Price per square footage. Again, another thing you can do. Another big deal is shelf life, right? How long is it taken on the market? You can see there are actually less than 10, 15, 20 days properties staying on life. So it means that things are selling pretty quick. And that could be another talking point of mine. All right. This is a cool slide I use because people want to know where to price their home. I say, look, if you want to price it below average price of whatever everything is going for, you're going to contain 90% of the buyers. Well, priced at 10%, we're going to get 75% of the buyers. It's going to exclude some of the investors, whatever. But if it's at market value, we're going to be able to get 60% of the buyers. Why? Because some people are looking for a deal. You're going to, get them out of the market. And you can have your talking point with how to price this thing. And then if you do it above, right, you're going to lose out on 70% of the buyers. You're only going to get 3% of the potential buyers out there. So this could be your talking point for pricing the property. All right. That's why I like that slide. Here's another good one. If I look at what's the comparable supply around the area, all I have to do is click on, and now it's going to show me the surrounding areas of what's available for sale. This becomes my competition. And it tells you right there, 4% smaller at 2 million. This property here is 13% smaller at 1.35. So it kind of gives you an idea of the supply chain of what's out there for active listings. Is it a lot? Is it little? We could talk about that. Use it as a talking point. All right, this slide's pretty cool. It automatically taps into our kvCORE. So if we're working with buyers and sellers, here you go. 5,548 online engagements with RE/MAX connections. That's not RE/MAX, that's RE/MAX connections. That's with our company. 915 online engagements, 59 people in the price range of 1.6 that are looking in your area. And then we have 15 featured buyers for this property, which is amazing. First question they always ask you when you're doing a listing, do you have any buyers? Do you work with any buyers for my home? Well, yeah, here you go, 15 buyers. All right, marketing plan. You could have this as your talking point. Social, talk about that. That's the net sheet that we filled out. Obviously, we made it pretty incomplete, but it shows the net proceeds, right? Net proceeds are going to be $720,000 based on this scenario. Now, here's the cool part. They can say, well, if you're presenting, you can say, you ready to get started? And at that point, you pull up the listing agreement, right? The one that you were able to upload. Well, if you emailed it, or even if you have the question where you say, hey, you're ready to put me to work, they say, well, I just need more time. Okay, no problem. Well, can you tell me a little bit more about your feedback? And then you can have a conversation with them. But if you emailed it, this is going to be their feedback. They're going to put, maybe hoping to sell it for more, or list for more. Competitive market. the time it takes to sell, or even other. They put in, I don't like you, Rick Pearson. You know, they can put whatever they want, right? Rick, obviously they like you because they signed with you. But my point is, this could be emailed or not. So now, if I wanted to show you what that looks like after we're done with this, because, you know, it was a great question by Libby. Do you email it and how can I send it out there? Well, yeah, of course, you can email the presentation. And let me kind of show you what that looks like too. So now that I did Spokane Way, I could just send an email. And what's just cool is if you don't have them as a client, you can develop them as a client. All right. So let's just put Bob Smith. Bob Smith, right? Appreciate you taking the time, whatever, right? And then you hit send. And now you have to add, see how it says add a subject. So it could say, nice knowing you, whatever. It's going to send an email. Now, what happened? It says you don't have them as a client. See, I wanted you guys to see this. This thing is dummy proof. Like it literally won't let you take the next step unless you add them as a client. And it's cool because you can actually pull this information here and then email it to them or present it to them, like I was telling you from before. But what I wanted to show you from before in the past things is that, you know, you can look at the analytics behind it. So after you send them this information by email, for an example, like let's just say I sent this over to them, you can pull up the analytics. Now the analytics, I want to see if they opened up the slide, right? And then it also gives you a timestamp of how many times they pulled it. And they look and see, like, did they look at the CMA overview? Yes, they did. Looks like they spent some time on it. They looked at the market review. Okay, that was a big deal to them, or not. Look at it, spend the most time on it. They spend the most time on the net proceeds because they wanted to see what they were going to net out, right? So that could be a conversation for them. And then look, there's one more thing I want to show you, because this to me is pretty cool, is you can also pull up how many times they've actually pulled this information from here. Look how many times they viewed this. It's incredible. They looked at it at 2:20 or 12:20. They looked at it at 5 o'clock on the 29th. And so if I know they're interested and they keep clicking on this, you better believe I'm going to give them a call, because at that point, you know, wow, they're not only interested, but they're very engaged with the process. So I wanted to show you that. Again, we're going to get to questions right now because, you know, I've been kind of sharing a lot of information. I'm sure some of you guys are probably like, whoa, this is a lot. But I promise you, once you get used to the system and you use it once or twice, you'll get the hang of it. Let me see if there's any questions. If you email a presentation, would it also show analytics? Jim Supples asked, or sorry, Jill asked, if you email a presentation, would it also show analytics for other individual opening it? For an example, your prospective client sends it to other family members. Great question. I don't know the answer to that. I believe if it been directly emailed to them and they share it with that other person, I don't know if it knows, the system knows how to pick up on the unique user. That's a great question. I'll get that answer for. Does anybody know that answer? Measure, do you know that answer?
Yeah, it's based on the people who you're sending it to first. It's not going to be the second person who sees it. So you can post it on like social media if you want, but if you send it through an email, that's the only way it's going to pick up the analytics about that one person that you're sending it to, tailored to.
That link. So if they look at that link, they click on it. Good question. All right. Here we go. Question, Libby. Can you add just any, what is it? Can you add any send?
Well, I was
Yeah.
talking fast. So, so what if you have, you know, somebody who hasn't, there's no lead or anything, you just have, say, a neighbor or something,
Sure.
and you just want to impress them with your abilities in case they decide to sell.
Yes.
So you can just add them as a client
Yes.
or a potential lead or something, and at that point, you can use this for them.
You don't even have to add them as a client. You can send it directly to them. It just, all you need is their first name, last name, and email address.
Okay, so they don't have to be registered as a client or.
They don't have to be in your kvCORE whatsoever.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you, Majid. Any other questions? I'm going to stop this for a second because, there was a lot. And I hope everybody's impressed at this point, because I'm pretty impressed, because I want you guys to stand out from everybody. And at this point, if you're using this as a presentation tool to discuss that person's client or that discuss that person's home, what's going to take place is that you're going to look like the expert. You're going to look like, oh my God, you have technology behind you. And that's what people are looking for. They're looking for technology. Any questions, concerns? Tell me, are you overwhelmed? It's a lot.
Somebody said you could click into Core Present from your kvCORE site.
Yeah.
Matt, how do we find,
Are you saying once you're with your site, it doesn't matter. Like for me, this is the way I upload it. I go from marketing to Core Present. I'm sure there's other ways to locate it, but I don't want to confuse everybody on this call. So you need to get in your kvCORE, hit your Core Present, and then it's going to pull up the window of Core Present. And then you can build your website and build up what you're doing. Now, we just talked about winning the listing. There's so many different slides, because we could talk about a buyer, for an example. If there was a property that was for sale and you're doing a market analysis, right? You can just pull that information there. And now see, we're comparing this property as we're to prepare an offer for that. But I also want to be able to compare it with everything else. So this is your CMA with your buyer, same situation. We can pull this information. We can, bring it down to, whatever 1 mile, half mile. We could draw.
We can't see what you're looking at.
Oh, sorry. Thanks, Jim. All right. So with the buyer presentation, it's the same way, right? We're going to go over here. We're going to go to Core Present. It's going to pull that window, and I could do a buyer presentation for a property. And then if I pull up this information, for an example, if I want to do 1095 Duncan Street, I pull this information and then I can bring it down to a mile, half a mile, whatever I'd like to do to present that, the CMA to the buyer. And it's the same way. I could skip to that, or I could build the CMA. I could use the slides if that was one of the things that I wanted to do. It's the exact same situation where you do a CMA for the buyer or the seller. So hopefully that answered that question. All right, I'm going to stop for a second because I want you guys to really do this. Like, if my goal is to have everybody using this Core Present, because I truly believe that do you see the value behind it or not?
Absolutely.
You do? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think it's user friendly? Or is it a little overwhelming? Honestly.
User friendly.
I think that's relative to the user.
Great question.
Thanks, Brian. That was pointed.
So look, I want to hear back from you, because I want to know if we're going to be doing more of these, trainings. Do you need me to slow down? Is it something that you need more one-on-one training on? And I want to be able to hear your feedback if you see the value or not. So Brian, since I heard your voice, I'm going to pick on you. Do you see the value with this?
Yeah, I think there's value. Obviously, as you know, you have to use it to get familiar with it. And, until you start really using it, you're probably going to feel like, oh man, this is overwhelming, right?
Right.
I think sometimes too, just simplifying it and maybe putting less slides at the beginning and making your presentation a little bit more direct to the point can help you. And then you can always add to it at a later time and make it, more dense should you need to in a luxury situation or whatnot. But, if you're going into a condo or a tract subdivision, your comps are going to be very condensed to that particular area. So it's not like you're going to have to go far out where, if you have a $3, $4, $5 million home, it might take a lot more research and you might need to go outside the parameters a little bit more. So I think it's just specific to your listing. And then also your clients too. I mean, are you going to really put something like that together and email it over to a 75, 80-year-old person? No disrespect, but I think that's kind of a waste of your time. They want to be sat down. They want you to point it out, go through it with them face to face. Now, if you have a millennial, I mean, that's probably going to be very engaging to them. So you kind of need to know your target audience as well.
No, you bring up some solid points. And that's the best part about the system. You can do both, right? You can present it in person, you can email it, you can print it. So if you want to sit with them, you can do slides as in like paper slides, so some people that like the paper, they like the touch and feel of it. It really does everything. There's no reason, in my opinion, for you not to use the system. That's my opinion again.
Yeah, I think from your standpoint, in some of our mastermind meetings, one of the things that we all came up with as a consensus after discussing it was to send something to your clients prior to your arrival in your presentation, right? Like give them something,
Yes.
to digest, and however complex you want to make that is up to you. I think the presentation kind of customizes that. So
Yep.
whatever you bring to their house at that later time, can be more developed for your customization on how you want to do stuff. So it could be a great tool to just, give them an appetizer.
Love it. Anybody else have a comment, question, or concern? Taylor, let me ask a millennial, actually, if you don't mind. Taylor, what do you think of this?
I think it's great. I was messing around with this presentation last week after our meeting, and Brian's right. It's hit or miss. You got to read your client. You got to know your client, who they are. But for millennial purposes, I mean, they want to see the numbers. They want to see everything. They like it easy. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It just needs, some time to implement, set it up proper, and, make those slides to kind of tailor it towards, those individuals. But I think this is just providing more value.
Love it. Yeah, you heard from a millennial, so it had to be right? I mean, he knows the stuff. The techies, the people that are probably looking at this and saying, well, you come in with a clipboard from 1985, you're probably going to lose the listing to a person that wants to see technology, that wants to see, some type of innovative way for you to customize or
Don't knock the clipboard people, bro. I still got mine. All right.
You can bring that to your son's baseball game or hockey game, all right, but you can't bring that to a listing agreement, in my opinion. We got to advance, right? So look, I'm not going to talk about, doing any other presentation, but you can do other things with this thing. And I wanted to also let once you do this, because I heard, well, can I print it? Well, yeah, of course you can. You can print it. And then Jim Supple's, of course, smart comment saying we need to do 2 copies for Walt. Yeah, you can print it right here. So if you wanted to leave this with them, right, it kind of gives it down a summary of what you're doing, and all the slides are here at once. And now they're not going to be interactive, right? Because some of these things, you were clicking on it with a presentation. You can't do that with paper, but it still gives it the kind of basis of what you're trying to create here. And then again, gives you the comparables. But I truly believe if you're going to be doing that, I think it's better to present this information than just hand it to them, because, there's a lot of stuff they're going to be looking at, but they're not going to be really aware of. So I think at this point, you need to make sure, you can, do that part. And let me just show you how to do that really quick. So you'd go to the part where it says PDF. So there's web and there's PDF. You go to PDF, you click on that, and then all the information pulls up, and you can print this info and leave it with them as a copy. Again, you're not going to be able to kind of click on these things because it's a PDF, but you can go through this and leave it to them. And that's a good thing to do even after you present, just to have it with them. But personally, I don't like it. It depends on the client, of course, like Brian and Taylor were saying. If it's a person that wants the paper, they expect to see a paper, then of course bring them paper. You don't want to try to force them to learn a different way. You want to cater to your client's needs. So that was your way to do the PDF. Web is the same way. Of course, you just click on web and then you're presenting, and then your analytics. They don't try to really complicate it. I think it's very user-friendly, in my opinion. So if you want to do customizations, and this is probably a part 2 to this, but let's just say you want to do some customizations. I want them to know more about me. So you can go to your traditional presentation, and I can customize the colors, the fonts, the logos. If you have a logo, you have a team logo, whatever you put in there, you can customize it for yourself there. All right. So that's some of the customizations. And then, about me, you can put these slides up there. You can put in the information here. So that way, when they're on your talking slide about what you and what your experience is, it's like this. I'd have to update that, make it 26 years. So it's just stuff like that. You can go ahead and customize it to your information. Again, personalizations. Here's another big one, testimonials. Like I love to see testimonials. You can have the picture there and you can just put in the information and it's automatically going to be a testimonial here on one of your slides, which I think is really cool. So let's just say, sorry,
Mike.
Go.
I mean, quick question.
Yeah.
So I know some of us have those really beautiful marketing plans that Annie's put together with us. Would you, like, you don't want to inundate them with like a ton of stuff. Would you try to put this, kind of merge it into this presentation, or would you use both? Or
that's a great question. I thought about that answer for a while, and I think it goes back to your client, right? Because at this point, it might be able to be better to leave them that customization, like give them that marketing book and then present this in person, or even print the CMA and give them 2 copies or combine them. It really depends. But I don't think there's a wrong way of doing this. I think you just got to feel it out. If you want to just give them one big book with all the things that you do and this, it could be overwhelming for the client. So I don't know. It depends. Great question though. Where do you download your personal pages? Pam asks. So where do I download the personal page? Can you be a little bit more specific, Pam? What do you mean by that?
No, like if you have your testimonials, where in that system do you hit upload to go into your computer and upload those?
Great question. So the question is, where can I upload those as a personalization, as a testimonial? So me personally, you can do it one of 2 ways, right? We can have that as a picture. It has to be a picture, by the way. It doesn't accept PDFs. So, and there's a reason behind the madness. They want to make sure it's actually good quality stuff. You're not just uploading PDFs. So if it's a picture, you can upload that picture or just put in the information there. It kind of sucks because of the fact that, actually, I've got a question. Measure, are you on this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can we upload the testimonials from other sites like Zillow or anything else like that?
It's just copy and paste. You're just going to put who wrote it, and then you put in the comment that they left.
Okay. So Pam, we're going to copy and paste those testimonials into these. And that could be your testimonials from your clients.
So it goes right into the testimonial page right there.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So you don't take a photo of it and upload.
Yeah, you could take a photo. Exactly. You can also take a photo. I don't know how the quality is going to look, but you can definitely do that.
The other thing I was going to say, Mike, just coming over, we were on Moxie, and this is a lot like Moxie, but this looks easier, honestly.
Good to know. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. We're always trying to be the best, Pam, so I appreciate that.
Good. That's why I'm here.
I just want to leave one comment. When you ever have a client inside your database that already has an address associated to that client, you can always make a core present for them, core presentation, and then it'll populate their address and give you all the comps and all that good stuff. So you don't have to constantly put in everyone's address. If you already have it saved, just click on core present under that client.
Great. So what Measure was saying, if you already have the client and you have their address, you have their information, you don't want to rebuild it, like you can go to your client's information, like right here, for an example, and then see where it says core present. It's already knows the address. Why should I fill it out again? All I do is click on it. And then look what it did for me. It automatically pulled the presentation and their information on there. So now look, that's their info. It's done. I could just hit next and finish out the presentation that way. Great point, Measure. Thank you for bringing that up.
That's helpful.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. That's helpful.
Look, the more you play with it, I promise you, the more you're going to enjoy it. I think at the end of the day, it's really going to be your efforts, because just like I did when I first introduced kvCORE 5 years ago to you guys, it was a little overwhelming, right? It was a little bit, oh my God, like, do I really want to start a new system? Do I really want to change the way I do business? All I can ask is I want to challenge everyone for their next appointment or their next opportunity to build a CMA, just use the system. I promise you, it's going to be quick, fast, easy, and it's going to be a lot more effective, in my opinion. If I can encourage anybody to do this, you know, I believe in my heart of all hearts, it's going to improve your business. If everybody in this company is using this platform to present, there's no way you're going to tell me the system or the things that you're doing now is better than what this brings. I can't believe that. I'm sorry. You're going to have to impress the heck out of me in a listing presentation, or just go ahead and present. And I challenge you, if you have something better than this system, please book me. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a one-on-one and show me how your presentation is going to look better than this. Because for me, I can only imagine with a client saying, oh my God, like, how can you not be impressed by, you know, for them doing the interactions with this, and then they can do the customizations with the slides. And, you know, just for me, this is exactly why I would want to see it. Anybody have a comment other than that? Go for it. I challenge you. No? Good. Any other questions? Go for it now. I have to print 2 copies.
Just in the mechanics of it. So when you're building a CMA.
Yeah.
I don't see a save. So I keep putting in like a different year built, or, you know, a range,
Uh-huh.
but then it just goes away.
You're saying from this, where the criteria part of it?
Yeah.
It's asking for the
But
criteria?
you're building, I don't see any way to save the information that you put in there.
So Libby asked a question, how do you save the information when you're building it, you're saying?
Mhm.
Okay,
I'm
let's
on
do it.
auto to allow Core Present to find comparables. And then it gives you all these different comparable, and
Uh-huh.
you're able to adjust them.
So
But-
Libby,
Yeah.
you wanna click on manual, and that will allow you to then make changes to like square footage or lot size or bedrooms. And
Oh,
so
it's
you wanna,
across the top, yeah, okay.
yeah, so yeah, switch to manual, and then you can make all those changes and save it.
Cindy, wow, you can teach.
Thank you,
That's amazing.
Cindy.
And you've been using this system, right, Cindy? Because I
Yeah,
remember
we've been using it, and I was just gonna say it's great because, you know, we used to do, when we were gonna do a listing presentation, we would go, you know, onto Paragon, we'd pull all the comps, and then, you know, print all those papers, and then go to the, you know, the listing presentation, get all those, and we'd have to kind of pull everything. And this is like a one-stop shop where everything is there. You can add pages. You can simplify it, you can change the look, and it's all in one place. You can email it, print it, you know, do it live, you know, the presentation live with your client. So we just love how it's one place to get everything, and it's customizable.
Cindy, I can't agree with you more. I think we've, as agents, used to go on the MLS, take the information, put it into the CMA, then the CMA, it's like 3 different places. And then you have to combine it on your own. And then you have to add in your own slides. And Cloud CMA was nice, but there was a lot of unnecessary slides that I don't really care for. So I would just literally print that out, throw out those stupid extra ones. I think this is perfect because if you didn't want them in, you can exclude them. And then you can add some of your own talking points. So it's just really, the customization part of it is what I truly like. And like you said, the ease of use, you can make it,
Yeah.
you can make a CMA within what, 5 minutes?
Yeah, super quick.
So let's just say a client comes up to you and says, hey, by the way, yeah, we're talking about, I'm not ready to sell now, but you know, near future, hey, do you mind running some comps? Do you mind giving me a CMA? You know, I used to be the pain in the butt. Like, it's going to take me 15, 20 minutes and send it out and whatever. Now you can do it in 3 to 5 minutes. Is that an overstatement? Or do you believe that, Cindy?
Sorry, trying to unmute. Yeah, no, it's super quick. I just ran one yesterday for a client. David and I did a pre-listing appointment last week, and she's kind of getting ready. So I went on there. I spent less than 5 minutes, put her information into kvCORE, ran the CMA, you know, added a couple of manual stuff, and we had it, you know, printed and ready. And it was less than 5 minutes. And that was with me entering her information into kvCORE as well. So it was just, you know, it's really, and it just looks really pulled together. And ultimately, that's what we want to give people, is something that's really done the work for us. It's very well executed.
That's awesome, Cindy. Thank you for obviously standing behind the product you believe in, and I could tell obviously your excitement. It's authentic. Cool. I want everybody to also know that, Measure's available for the one-on-ones. So, because I know a lot of things take place. We go to these trainings and, I throw a lot at you, right? And some people, again, they learn different ways. They want that one-on-one, or maybe, they have to fool with it themselves before they kind of get to it. Everybody learns differently. So Measure, do you want to put your Calendly again? You said you put the information earlier, but can you put it again? For
Yeah, I'll
anybody who
put
wants
it
to
again.
book you. Yeah. Measure's becoming our kvCORE expert, man. He's really taking the time to actually learning new tricks and trades. I send him for training. And the gentleman knows what he's doing. So please reach out to Measured. If you want a one-on-one training with him, his Calendly's right there. Oh, you're welcome, Jeannie.
And
Anybody
feel
else?
free to do as many Calendlies if you want. You can book me as many times as you need. You don't have to do just one training. We could do multiple.
Yeah, perfect. And we'll continue to do this once a month, like an overview. I'll show you a different section. Like I said, I didn't want to spend too much time in other categories of the customization. Sharon's giving you some love, Measured. But yeah, please, if you guys have anything, any questions, concerns, anything that comes up, contact Measured on the kvCORE. I encourage everybody to at least do a CMA, even do a CMA of their home that they're living in now. That will give you an idea of how to use the system, and it'll make you a lot more comfortable and confident the next time you have a client that's in front of you. Anybody else that used the system, has tried to use the system other than Cindy, and getting some success or not? Anybody else? Okay.
Yeah, the listing, I just used the listing presentation and it worked well.
You used it as a listing presentation? You were in front of the
Yeah,
client?
I already kind of had it almost dialed, but I just sent it over just to add a little more value and she really loved it.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that you actually took, you went outside your box, because look, let's just say it's scary, right, Taylor? Because you're sending it to a client for the first time, right? You're like, oh my God, is it going to work? Are they going to like it? It is, right? It taking you outside your comfort zone. Were you a little nervous sending it at first?
Yeah, but what's it hurt?
It can only add value, right? Because
Yeah.
to them, they're not only seeing their home, but they're going to see the comparables. They're going to be able to interact with it. For me, it's like, why, right? That's it all in your head. Like, they're going to like the content. It's going to present itself pretty nice. So thank you for sharing. Anybody else? I heard you saying something, Bibiana.
Oh, yes, I used it before. And what I did, I go to the front of the property and then I do a video. So then I do like an introduction. Hey, I'm outside your home. This is your neighborhood. This is how it looks. And then I prepare them and then I insert that video into the presentation. So to make it more personal.
I love
it takes more time.
Yeah.
But I think that's the special touch.
I love that, Bibiana. Great. I never even considered that. That's a great idea. Just do it in front of their home, send the video while you're presenting. And then, or did you send that link out to them, obviously, or did you do it in person? Like, did you do the presentation in person?
No,
or...
I send the link. These are out of area clients.
I see.
But now I did a general video, and I'm gonna do one for each of my clients.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Anybody else have any other comments, questions before we wrap this up? Hopefully you guys saw value with this.
Quick question.
Yeah, go for it, Jim.
When the client is going through and looking at comps, will it register new comps from the time, say you send it over today and they didn't look at it until Wednesday or Thursday, and then there's some new comps that come up?
No.
Is that going to show up in the market activity?
Great question. So what's going to take place is you got to hit this update button, Jim. And then what it will do is once you hit the update button, it will now re-pull all of the information inside there. Measured, is that correct? Did I speak correctly on that, or is it automatically interactive?
No, you're correct. You have to update it.
You have to update that. So Jim, yeah, click that update button, and then you can go ahead and if there's any adjustments, for an example, like just say, hey, you know what, the one I used, I didn't like the square footage, or maybe it was too big of a range, or whatever the case may be, you just hit the update button and then you just go next and it's done.
Okay. So when they're looking at it and then they, it's they click the button to view all of the current competition. And
Yep.
it goes outside the range, outside the circle. Are those current, or are those again, what was
That's current.
originally
That's current.
selected?
No, that's current because what it's doing is it's pulling all the active listings and it doesn't need to be part of the criteria. That's just
Okay.
basically saying this is where their other active listings are. But great question, Jim.
And then on that same note, does
Yeah.
the, if I send over coming soon and it's gone to active, or an active that's gone to pending, or a pending that's gone to sold, do those all adjust, or do I need to go and do an update?
I would say update. I don't know that answer. Measure, do you know that answer?
I would just say update. That the
Yeah.
corporate is still pretty new.
Yeah. So I would still hit the update button, Jim, because of the fact that
Okay.
when it sends it out, again, it is interactive. It's going to show what
Right.
the information was, but
Okay,
know,
well, it gives you an opportunity to follow up with the client. So I sent it out on Monday.
Bingo.
They look at it on Tuesday. Then you see, oh, you know what? There's some changes on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You can call them up and go, hey, I just want to let you know, I have updated your CMA. There is some new activity in your neighborhood. So go ahead and recheck it. And then you can obviously see the analytics and see if they've gone and rechecked it.
that's big, man. You spoken like a true champ right there, because I truly would use that as an opportunity to connect with my client and say, hey, by the way, it's been a week or two. Just want to let you know, we updated the CMA. There's been some activity in your area. You may want to check it out. Now it's like, man, I didn't want to bother them, and say, hey, are you ready? Are you ready? I mean, this could be a way for me to tap into the, hey, we just updated the numbers. Can you take a look at them? And you better believe if they're really hot about selling the property, they're going to recheck those numbers because they want to make sure they get more money for their home, right? So
Right, exactly. I suspect they see it in like 10 minutes. Oh my God, there's an update.
Exactly. Oh, good point. Thanks, Jim, for your comments. Anybody else before we wrap this up? Hopefully you guys got enough value on this. We're good.
I think
You like-
Jeannie had a question in the chat.
Okay, sure. Is anyone using kvCORE to send
She meant active, to send to their active buyers, to send their active buyer homes to pick to view this weekend.
Jeannie, you want to come on and ask me that question? She's still on? I don't think she's on anymore. Okay, I don't know. I mean, I don't, is she's asking this to the group? I'm here, no sound. Okay.
I think she might be asking that instead of using Paragon as like a search engine for buyers, I think she's asking about kvCORE.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, she wants open houses or houses for their buyers, her buyers to see this weekend.
Like, okay, well, we'll get that. I don't know. That's a question to you or to everybody else on this group. Okay, we're good. Anybody else have a question, comment, concern before we wrap it up?
Thank you, Mike.
Oh, you're welcome.
You
Thank you
should
very much for your
continue
time.
these because
What's that?
even if you should continue these because even if it's really confusing on the day you're doing it, it opens your eyes to what's out there and then you go back and research it and do it and learn it. And
Thank you, Libby. I'll continue to do so. I would hope that everybody takes the bull by its horns as well and actually practices with their own home that they live in. And that could be one of those, homework assignments to everybody that I challenge is that everybody goes on today or this week and actually does a CMA for their own property. That's the best way to do it because when you play with the system, you'll figure it out on your own. But I'll continue to do them. And then you have measured, of course, for the one-on-one. You're welcome, everybody. Thank you for the comments to the right. And we'll definitely do one for the buyer next time, Jeannie. So awesome. Thank you very much, guys. And have a great day.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
My pleasure. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Mike.